Welcome everybody to another video of Ancient Greece Reloaded. Today we will talk about Alcmene, granddaughter of the hero Perseus, wife of Amphitryon and the mother of Heracles. By the way, if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so stay tuned for upcoming videos. Overall, Alcmene is normally considered to be a granddaughter of Perseus and Andromeda, born to Electryon and Anaxo, though some accounts say that Alcmene's mother was actually Lysidike or Eurydike, both daughters of Pelops. Electryon was the king of Mycenae and Tiryns. He had one daughter, Alcmene, and many sons, and one illegitimate son, Lycimnius. Alcmene grew up to become one of the most beautiful women of the day, but with this beauty also came wisdom. And it was this trait that saw Amphitryon come to Mycenae in order to make Alcmene, who was his cousin, his wife. The time of Amphitryon arrival in Mycenae was a troubled one, and the sons of Terellaus were in dispute with Electryon, for the sons of Terellaus laid claim to part of Electryon's kingdom. In short, due to the lineage of the grandfather, the sons of Terellaus demanded part of Electryon's kingdom, something like a birthright. Rejecting their claim, obviously, a battle would erupt between the sons of Electryon and the sons of Terellaus, after Electryon's nephews had driven off the king's cattle. During the battle, the sons of Electryon, except Lycimnius, and the sons of Terellaus, except Iphicles, were killed. Amphitryon would retrieve the stolen cattle, and in gratitude, Electryon agreed that Amphitryon could wed Alcmene. Moreover, Electryon was to leave Amphitryon in charge of his kingdom, whilst the king sought retribution for the death of his sons. Before Electryon could depart though, the king was accidentally killed by Amphitryon when a club bounced off of one of the stolen cattle and hit the king. Despite being an accident, Sthenelus, a brother of Electryon, used it as an excuse to take the throne, and Amphitryon was sent into exile together with Alcmene. Alcmene and Amphitryon would arrive in Thebes during the period when Creon was on the throne, and King Creon would absolve Amphitryon of his crime. Alcmene, though, refused to marry Amphitryon until he had avenged the death of Alcmene's brothers. After much work, Amphitryon would leave Alcmene in Thebes whilst he went to war against the Taphians and Televoans, who were Terellaus people. As a note, Taphians and Televoans are just two tribes residing in the same area and were supporting King Terellaus. Long story short, Amphitryon and his allies won the war and conquered the lands of Terellaus. Finally, Amphitryon made his way back to his beloved future wife, because now he could marry her. In the meantime, the beauty of Alcmene also attracted the attention of Zeus, and so Zeus came to Thebes to have his way with her, the very day before Amphitryon was due to return. Zeus would disguise himself as Amphitryon and would return with news of his victory at the war and spoils from it. Alcmene was convinced that Zeus was Amphitryon, and that the same night she would sleep with the god. Zeus would of course make Alcmene pregnant, and some would say that Alcmene was the last mortal woman that Zeus ever slept with. The next day Amphitryon returned, and he as well would sleep with Alcmene, and he also made her pregnant as well. But Amphitryon was worried when Alcmene told him that he had already returned the day before. Amphitryon would find out of what had happened from the seer Eurystheus, although the news did not comfort the hero greatly. When it was close to the time for Alcmene to give birth to the son of Zeus, the supreme god made a proclamation that a descendant of Perseus was to be born on a given day, and this boy would rule over Mycenae. Hera heard the news and, greatly angered by her husband's infidelity, decided to use her husband's proclamation to her own advantage, aka to mess with Zeus. Hera would instruct Eileithyia, the Greek goddess of childbirth, to stop Alcmene from giving birth, and for 7 days and 7 nights Alcmene was in pain as she tried to give birth to her son. At the same time, Hera encouraged the wife of Sthenelus to give birth early to her son, and so, at only 7 months of pregnancy, this wife gave birth to Eurystheus. Thus, according to the words of Zeus, it was Eurystheus who was to rule Mycenae. Still, Alcmene had not given birth to her own son though, and if Hera had had her way, she would never have. Rhadamanthys, a handmaid of Alcmene, realized that it was Eileithyia who was hindering her mistress rather than helping her. Thus Rhadamanthys went to Eileithyia and told her the lie that Alcmene had given birth already. The news jolted Eileithyia tremendously, the goddess lost concentration, and so Alcmene was able to give birth to the son of Zeus. Originally, the son was named Alcides by Alcmene and Amphitryon, but later in an attempt to try and pacify Hera, the name was changed to Heracles, meaning glory of Hera. Born to Alcmene the night after Heracles was of course Iphicles, a hero often found in the company of his brother. Some accounts also say that Laonomi was a daughter of Alcmene and Amphitryon. Laonomi would marry either Polyphemus or Ephemus, both named Argonauts. Alcmene and Amphitryon were fearful of the anger of Hera, for now both were convinced that Alcmene's firstborn was the son of Zeus. It was decided that Heracles would be exposed in a field outside of Thebes, but before any harm could come to the baby, he was found. The finders though were not hunters nor shepherds, as was the norm in such cases, but Heracles was found by Athena and possibly Hera. Taken by the child, Athena, perhaps out of mischief, persuaded Hera to suckle the child. Hera, of course, being unaware of who the baby was, did so. Athena would then take the baby back to Alcmene, commanding the wife of Amphitryon to raise her son. Amphitryon and Alcmene would raise their children well, but when Heracles was still a teen, Alcmene became a widow, for Amphitryon, although victorious, died in the war between Thebes and the Minians. Alcmene would subsequently remarry, for she would wed Rhadamanthys, the son of Zeus and Europa, and Alcmene would live with her new husband in Ikalia in Viotia, for Rhadamanthys had been exiled from Crete. Some tell of how Rhadamanthys continued the education of Heracles, especially in the skills of archery. As Heracles became more famous, the story of Alcmene dwindled, and it was only after the death and apotheosis of her son that Alcmene was once again talked of. King Eurystheus was now hunting down the children of Heracles to end all future threats to his rule. This persecution though would ultimately lead to the death of Eurystheus, for having found sanctuary in Athens, Hyllus, a son of Heracles, would venture out and kill the enemy of his father. Having killed the king of Mycenae, Hyllus would cut off the head of Eurystheus and present it to Alcmene. Alcmene would then gouge out the eyes of Eurystheus with waving pins, for Alcmene's anger at Eurystheus had built up over a number of years. For Eurystheus had usurped the birthright of her own son, had persecuted Heracles in his lifetime, and had continued the persecution of Alcmene's descendants afterwards. It was said that Alcmene herself would die of old age, possibly in Thebes, or possibly at Megara, as she walked the route between Argos and Thebes. It was mentioned in some accounts that Alcmene would be buried in Megara, and for centuries afterwards there was said to be the tomb of Alcmene at the Olympium near Megara, but others said that the body of Alcmene was not present to be buried. In this case, the accounts state that Zeus had Hermes steal away the body, replacing it with a statue, and that Hermes transported Alcmene to the Islands of the Blessed, where Alcmene was reinvigorated and became the eternal wife of Rhadamanthys. Let us finish with the following saying: physical beauty is an animal trait if there is no mind beneath. Democritus. That being said, remember guys to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, it would help us a lot. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for upcoming videos.